Welcome to Expert Profiles Atlanta, where Atlanta's influencers and innovators share strategies for overcoming obstacles and achieving success in business and life. Here's your host, best-selling author and Atlanta influencer, Neil Howe.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Neil Howe, your host, and today my guest is Jodi Hersh. Jodi is the founder and creative director of Orange Star Design, and she helps small business owners and solopreneurs grow their brands and their businesses by providing smart, done-with-you creative services, branding, graphic design, website design, digital marketing strategy, and consulting. Welcome to the show, Jodi.
Thanks for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you've been in this business for quite some time, celebrating 25 years now. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how Orange Star got started, and then we'll get into talking about the people that you help.
Well, sure. So my background is as a graphic designer because my career predates the internet. So for a number of years, I helped people as a graphic designer doing logos, branding, print materials, things like that. And back in the mid-90s, when websites were first emerging, I recognized that my clients were going to need that. So I just dove right in and figured it out. And I've been creating websites since the mid-90s. And now fast forward 25 years since I first started my business, I recognize that most small business owners are not necessarily strong marketing people. And that was a piece that was really missing as I was creating websites for them. They didn't really have a strategy, and you can build a really nice website for somebody, and they might provide an excellent service, but if there's no strategy in terms of how to attract people to that site and get them to become interested and engaged and ultimately convert to a customer, a year later, you're just going to have a really nice looking website that you paid a bunch of money for that's not doing anything for your business. And so I've become really focused on helping people solve that piece so that their website is actually a business tool that's helping them grow their business.
Right, that's extremely important. Having a good-looking, functional website that creates that user experience is extremely important if you're going to get the business, but ultimately it also has to be found, so you have to do the marketing part as well. So tell me about the kind of businesses that you help then.
Okay. To date, I mean, it's really been a very diverse group, but I'm very focused now on working with small service-based businesses and solopreneurs. So really, it could be any type of service. So I've recently been working with a lot of coaches, business coaches, life coaches, success coaches. It's pretty much a coach for anything these days. And I've also worked with a lot of professionals, whether they're marketers or lawyers, financial advisors, things like that. I seem to do best in the B2B space.
And what kind of problems do these people have?
Seems to me that one of the biggest problems is overwhelm. There's so many tactics out there, and there's no shortage of information on, do this, do that on social media, publish this free lead magnet ebook thing. And they're so busy executing on tactics and not getting results that they just don't even know what to do next, that they're so maxed out on their time because they're running their business, they're helping their clients, and then they're trying to do all of these things. So I really feel like, I come in and I stop the top from spinning for a minute. And, I just help them focus on a specific goal and then map out a strategy to try to achieve that goal, and then put the technology in place and teach them how to do it or help them do it or do it for them for executing the tactics. But so many people are just out there spinning, 20 plates at a time, trying to make it all happen. And I really think simplifying it and having a plan cures that overwhelm, and actually they start to see results by doing less.
That's an extremely important point, is better results by doing less. And, I know from experience, there's so many great things out there and great ways that you can get customers, but ultimately, if you're trying to do 100 things, you're not doing any of them properly. So, what have you found that really works in simplifying the business and having that right strategy to get the right people?
I think getting people to actually identify a specific and measurable goal, whether it's increase the number of people on my email list, I want to hit 1,000 or increase it by 10%, something that you can actually measure. Maybe it's more revenue focused. So maybe the goal would be something like increase sales or new customers by a certain percentage, or get 3 new customers this quarter. Depends what you're selling on how many customers you need. And I find that when we identify the goal and simplify the steps to get there and put a very simple sales funnel in the website that might look like we're going to write blog posts or create videos or do speaking events or go to networking events and specifically talk to these types of people about whatever the problem is that we're solving for. So you create that free content and it brings them into your site to consume that content. And then that content is specifically linked to a service product that you provide. And all you have to do is get people into that funnel and they end up on a page on your site with a video and a way to schedule a strategy session or free consult, whatever it is. It's not that hard to attract enough people and figure out how many people do you need to talk to get your first person to want to talk to you. And then it's just a numbers game from there. And you just keep executing on that instead of posting here and posting there and doing this and doing that and spinning all those plates. It just doesn't have to be that hard. And when I help somebody actually start doing this, it's like you can just see them breathe this giant sigh of relief.
Right. And, like we said, there's so many things like posting here and there. Like, do you advise them just to stick with one platform? Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's LinkedIn, and just master that first?
Yeah, I would say pick one where your ideal prospect is most likely to be found and focus on that one. And when you get that one to where it's functioning well, then move on to the second.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think that so many business owners are having this problem with overwhelm, and why are they not able to see that simplified version being the best option for them?
I just think there's too much information out there. I mean, go Google, internet marketing or how to market a small business, and you can spend the rest of your life consuming information. And most people are just teaching tactics, and they're not specifically tied to, a complete system or a complete platform. And I'm certainly not the only person out there speaking to this, but there's not that many systems that are all that simple. It gets really overwhelming. And I think a lot of times people are trying to adapt, a traditional marketing model for a much larger enterprise type organization. And you just try to shrink that down for a small business, and it's too much. I mean, you don't have the resources, the human resources or the financial resources or even the time resources to execute on all of that. So I think, for a small business, it just really needs to cut to the chase and take an essentialist approach to it, because there's no way that one person or a team of 3 people can execute on all of that.
Right. And I think, with small businesses, especially, and solopreneurs, it's the time that is the issue more than anything else. Is just trying to do all the marketing things out there. There's just not enough time in the day.
Exactly.
So, what is it that really works best, do you think, for most businesses? Is there one thing that is common to all of them?
I wouldn't say that there's one thing that's common. I'd say that perhaps it's that they're all trying to do too much. And really the answer to that is that you need a system, not just a website, and to just be very, very focused on why you're posting on social media and why you're blogging, and don't just keep, I mean, you want to give information away, but you're doing it in a purposeful way. It's very specific to provide value, but you want to get people into that funnel to take a next step. And if that's not happening, I would suggest that the person stop and figure out why you're not getting people to actually enter your funnel and fix that, and then start creating content again.
Well, talk to me about the funnel, because, if you're in the internet marketing world or marketing, you know what a funnel is. But if you're a local business owner, you might not exactly understand what that is. What exactly is a funnel, and what's it proposed to do?
Sure. So if you think of the shape of a funnel, the traditional model is the top of the funnel is somebody becomes aware of you. So you're attracting people to your content on social media, and maybe they like your content, so they click through, and you're offering them, I don't know, some kind of a checklist, 10 ways to cure whatever the problem is. And so they give you their email address and download your thing, and now they're in the middle of the funnel because they've converted. And ultimately, you want to squeeze them out the bottom of the funnel, and that's when they become a paying customer. So the top of the funnel is much wider because you might take in 1,000 people to then convert, let's be optimistic, 100 people, 10% to the middle of the funnel as leads, and then maybe a smaller percentage come out the bottom of the funnel as an actual customer. But the more modern thinking on this is that it's more hourglass shaped. So instead of know, like, trust, buy, which are the 4 stages in the traditional funnel, now it's know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer. And I love that.
Yeah, once you have somebody that knows, likes, and trusts and has had an experience with you, there's a whole other level that isn't really talked about with the referring and the repeat buying as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how with the marketing automation tools that are available to us today, which just that phrase, marketing automation, makes people's heads spin. But it's amazing what can be done. Because imagine if, so you do some work with a new client, and at the end of the engagement, you send them some kind of a thank you email. And in that email, you have a link to review you. And, if you send that at the moment when they're the most excited about your business, they're very likely to click. And the easier you make it for someone to leave a review, the more likely they are to do it. So there's systems where they pretty much guarantee that when someone clicks to review you, that you're going to get a positive review, and it'll make it really easy for it to go on Google. And if it's going to be a negative review, instead of pushing that out to Google, it'll just send you the email so that you can make it right. So it's kind of gaming the system, but my gosh, why wouldn't you do that in your business?
Yeah, it seems like a fairly simple process, but it's a bit longer maybe than some local business owners or solopreneurs expect. Is that a misconception that you find when you're talking to these people?
I mostly find that they don't even know that there's solutions out there to do some of these things. They think of it as a much more manual process than it actually is.
Right. So most business people are still face-to-face, word of mouth, would you say?
That, and sending out emails that don't do anything, and posting a lot of stuff to social media and not getting results. And I think it's because the strategy is missing, and they're so focused on tactics, and they're missing the strategy.
So how do you go through the process with them? Do you sit down with new clients and explain all this?
Yeah, I have a framework that I call the smartest way. I jokingly refer to myself as a smartist, IST, at the end for years. So I call my process the smartest way. And we go back to basics, and some of the stuff people will have locked down. And so we just breeze through that really quickly. And the basics would be, your branding, it's your business, it's your core messaging, it's your offer, it's identifying your ideal prospect. And we go through that, and then we look at the website if it's already existing, and we make recommendations on improvements to be made there. We look at the sales funnel next, if it's existing, and make recommendations. And generally, they're not really existing when I come in. And so we work that out. And we put together the plan of how are you going to attract people, and how are you going to convert them to leads, and how are you going to convert them to customers, and how are you going to stimulate the repeat purchases, reviews, and referrals. And at that point, the planning is done. And then it's up to the client if they want to have me do the implementation. And that's when we put all the technology tools in place. And once that's all in place, I provide training to the customer. And often we do continued support, mentoring, coaching, ongoing as needed. So I try to break it down so it's not an overwhelming process.
Right. And within that overwhelm, do you see fears from your potential clients about starting something new or getting involved with new technology? What kind of concerns do they have about this new process?
I do see, a little bit of anxiety, over the technology piece, but mostly I see relief when they begin to have clarity, because mostly it seems like they were kind of moving in a fog, not having clarity around some of these basic things, because nobody's ever really talked to them about it in that way before. So generally, they warm up to the technology because they trust me. And once the stuff is in place and they just have to work it instead of build it, they're not actually having to figure it out. I just see clarity and happiness, like they become excited.
Right. So they've got somebody now to take care of that technical aspect, which I think holds so many businesses back, is just dealing with that technical part of their business that probably scares them. And that's why they, don't take any action and implement some of these things. But how important is it from that point to share the right content and the message and the story?
That's a huge part of it. But once you have your platform in place, that the content actually becomes the fun part instead of the stressful part, because the pressure's off about producing all this content and nothing's happening. So you lose motivation. But when you produce, a blog post or a video or something, and you put it out there and you start getting results, you're so motivated to do it again. It becomes like an addiction. Mm-hmm. And I see my clients becoming very excited and engaged in the process once it all starts to work.
Great. Well, Jodi, give us an example of some of the clients that you've worked with. I know you've worked with people from all walks of lives over your 25 years, from, the solopreneur all the way up to Fortune 500 companies, but which ones stand out for you?
The one, one of my favorites is a local Atlanta coach, and we just, I did his website a number of years ago, and he had a pretty good understanding of who his ideal prospects were. So he was going to be blogging, and he put out an ebook, and so I helped him do all of that. But I realized he hadn't been blogging. So what's up with that? You're not producing content. How are we supposed to get people into your funnel? And it just wasn't happening. And it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that, there's so many different forms of content out there. If you're not likely to blog, well, let's find a different format. So he's a really great talker. So we've just started a weekly Facebook Live kind of TV show type thing for him. And so I think he's on week 15 now. So he's consistently for 15 weeks done this show at 10 a.m. every Monday. It's called Mindset Mondays with DTK, David Taylor Klaus. And we're going to end up with a book at the end of it that we can put on Amazon for sale. And it's attracting people to his funnel. And it's so exciting to see that. So I want to do more things like that. But some of the other highlights in my past have just been some of the crazy things I've gotten to work on that I couldn't duplicate if I tried. Things like getting to work with Atlantic Station when it was being built. And I actually got to design some things for the rock band Styx, which is crazy. I couldn't tell somebody how to make that happen. It just fell in my lap.
Yeah, that's great stories. But but now, you focus really on the solopreneur and the small business. What kind of difference do you see implementing this kind of stuff make to their business?
Oh, it's huge. And, it takes probably one of their biggest frustrations and turns it into a win. And that makes me happy. Obviously, it makes them happy, and it makes me want to do more of that. And what I'm finding, and it's probably just due to my own age and my peer group, aging as well, but there's this concept of the encore career with people that are, 50 and over, where whether they want to start a second career to take them into retirement or to play catch up on retirement income, or for whatever reason they're out of their corporate prior job and now they're trying to put their experience to work for themselves. I am so excited when I get to help those people, because I can take all of my experience being in the trenches with this stuff and put the platform together so they just come out of the gate running. And that's one of my favorite clients to work with these days.
Right, I can see that, and I have the same experience with a lot of these same kind of people that I interview. They've got all this experience in life, whether it's in the corporate world or whether they've just owned their own business for so many years, and now they're coming to a point in their life where they've got a passion and they've got a drive to do something with meaning, and they just want to get that story out.
Exactly.
So talk to me about what somebody should look for as far as a web designer. I know you're more than a web designer, but what should somebody look for in a web designer to, make sure that they're dealing with the right person?
Sure. It's pretty easy to build a website these days. So I feel like it's important that whoever this person is asking questions about your business, that not only are they competent to actually build the thing, but that they're asking questions about what your goals are, how are you going to get clients, how are you going to attract people to the business, what kind of content do you plan to create? Because if you're never going to blog and you're only going to do podcasting and videos, well, then the website needs to be oriented around that. And you absolutely have to have a way to capture leads and convert those leads into customers. And your web person is going to make or break your ability to do that. So they need to be asking those questions.
And I like on your website that you have an explanation of what a good designer is. And it is quite funny, but let me read it. It's 1 part business consultant strategist, 1 part designer, 1 part technologist, 1 part programmer, 1 part therapist, 1 part business person.
It's a lot of parts.
It really is, but that really goes to show all the different things that you deal with and you have to handle when you're dealing with people.
Well, it's true. And, so many web designers are young, and no offense to the young people out there. I was young once, but, they're coming at it from, through their lens. And especially like when I'm working with older entrepreneurs, I'm 50. So, people my age and on up, I understand that technology is not their happy place, but I'm fine with it. So I just make it not scary. I just handle that part for them, and I patiently explain that part to them. And if you're working with a web designer that isn't patient and explaining things to you in ways that you understand, find somebody else.
Mm-hmm. So, Jodi, what is one lesson that you learned early on in your career dealing with people and dealing with businesses that still impacts how you do business today?
I really believe that customer service is a competitive advantage. So I want everybody to be happy with their experience working with me. I try to over deliver as much as possible, and I try to have a lot of patience. And I just think that that's actually what has led to 25 years of success for me, because my clients become my advocates and tell other people about me. And it's so easy to make people happy. I just don't understand how people miss that piece. Like, don't be threatened by Amazon coming in and hurting local businesses, because local small businesses can compete on a customer service level that no large business ever can. And I never forget that.
Yeah, that is a great point. So tell me, what has kept you motivated and passionate about your business to keep it going for 25 years?
That is a great question. I wish I actually had the answer to it, but I think it's that I'm really passionate about making things. So whether I'm designing something for somebody or I'm creating artwork that I sell, I'm just constantly fueled by a drive to make things. Like if I have a day where all I did was talk to people, which in business is a productive day, I actually feel like I didn't do anything. But on a day when I've made something, that is just very fulfilling for me. And I like helping people. So being a designer is a really good marriage of those two things for me.
Well, Jodi, it's been very nice talking to you. I like on your website again here, you've be celebrating 25 years, 5,216 projects. That is a lot of people that you have helped, and like you said, a lot of things that you have built to be proud of. But the 6,085 coffees, I think that might be what's kept you going for the last 25 years.
Absolutely. Good point.
And of course, you have the 3 dogs. Quickly tell me about your love for the dogs in that project.
Oh, yeah. So I have 2 right now. The third has left us. So I love dogs, and I have 2 giant dogs. I have a Great Dane and a Great Pyrenees. And a few years ago, in an effort to create some additional passive revenue, I launched a project called Live Love Dogs. And it's merchandise, t-shirts, swag, and stuff for people who love dogs. Kind of like Life is Good, but better with a dog type of stuff.
Yes, certainly is.
And I use it to raise money for rescue groups.
Excellent. Well, I love that. I love dogs as well. So, Jodi, tell us how to get in contact with you. If somebody is looking for somebody to do graphic design or website design, how are they going to get hold of you?
Best thing is to visit my website, orangestar.com, or you can email me at Jodi, Jodi, at orangestar.com.
Excellent.
And I'm on all the social media platforms. I'm easy to find.
Very good. Well, Jodi Hersh, it's been a pleasure talking with you this morning. Thank you very much for being my guest on Expert Profiles Atlanta today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
Thank you for listening to Expert Profiles Atlanta with Neil Howe. To learn more about the resources in the show or to listen to past episodes, visit expertprofilesatlanta.com.